Welcome everyone to episode 0 of Hyperspace Comlink, a Star Wars book club podcast with all the new emergences in the Star Wars galaxy. In today's episode, we will be introduced to our hosts, hear them discuss their favorite books, find out about their introductions into the Star Wars universe, and more. Now, I'll hand the comlink over to our hosts, Andy, Kristen, and Amin.
Hello everyone, welcome to Reader's Comlink. I am Andy, or if you're on Discord, my name is Bonkers. I'm here with two of my friends. I will let them introduce themselves. So let's start with you, Kristen.
Hi, I am Black Pulsar 13, but I'm named Kristen. I think I've been in the book club for a few months now. The most important things about me probably are I am a musician, and Star Wars is kind of my outlet outside of that. So if we ever talk about any live action or animated things, I will spend half the time talking about the music.
That's great. Yeah, the music in Star Wars we could probably just do episodes on that alone. So that'll be fun for discussion later. Amin, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into Star Wars?
Thank you, Bonkers. Hey guys, my name is Amin Wars. You can call me Amin, I guess. I joined the book club a few weeks ago, and so far I'm loving it. I haven't read as many books as these people have, but I'm getting there. So far, I think the best one that I've read was Dark Disciple, and I'm really excited to discuss books in general.
All right, well then you have come to the right place to discuss Star Wars books. So, how about we start with what our favorite Star Wars book is? And all right, we'll just go back to you, Kristen. You want to start us off?
So the first one I read was Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina when I was a lot younger. It was the first Star Wars book I ever found on my parents' shelf. Favorite one is definitely so far Light of the Jedi, which I won't spoil anything, but the plot is done really well, and it's great to meet a whole new cast of characters in a universe we know so well. So there's things that feel familiar, but everything feels different at the same time. Books I can talk about more freely, I really like Master and Apprentice too. I liked Qui-Gon's character a lot when I saw him in episode 1 for the first time a million years ago. So getting more expansion on him and then on Obi-Wan's faults in some ways is really, really fun.
I totally agree on Master and Apprentice. Like seeing their relationship outside of what we see in the Phantom Menace, oh, it was just so good.
I think we all view Obi-Wan, especially even Qui-Gon, I think a lot of us view them too much with no faults. So it's nice seeing them both weak in a sense, some ways, especially emotionally, because of how much Obi-Wan talks about just the emotion side of being a Jedi and all of that. So it's really interesting to see them weak in a sense.
Yeah, it's always nice to have, I guess, protagonists and heroes that also have flaws because it makes them more relatable to the people watching or reading. Amin, you want to tell us about your favorite Star Wars book so far?
Yeah, so the first one that I read was Dark Disciple, and honestly, as an extreme Clone Wars fan, I've watched the show more times than I can count. It's naturally my favorite book. I honestly loved seeing Quinlan Voss. I really liked his character in the Hunt for Zero episode. I was really disappointed that we didn't get much of him, but when I found out that the book was there, I sat down and I read it in 2 days. It was literally amazing. Without spoiling too much, I really like Ventress's character there. I feel like they sort of round her out more. Her past is a little bit more fleshed out instead of they make her sound sometimes like just solely just like a witch who doesn't really care about anyone but herself. But in general, I feel like they really fleshed it out, and I really like how just in general her personality as a bounty hunter is it matches with her character at the same time. She still remembers her past in a way, and she's still just as selfish. But later in the book, she has that development that we were all waiting for in the actual show, and that's what makes it my favorite book. In addition to all the Obi-Wan, Anakin scenes and all the clones, and yeah.
Yeah, I also totally agree. I read Dark Disciple last year sometime, and it, like you said, it was really nice to see another side of interest than just, evil, evil, evil in the Clone Wars, like just hates the Jedi, wants to do evil things. So I like that aspect of the book. As for me, my favorite Star Wars book so far is Republic Commando 000, which is the second in the series. I say it's my favorite because it takes a few of my favorite things as far as books, which are like spycraft, espionage, and Star Wars, and it mixes them all together like without any shame at all, and it's just so awesome. It's a bunch of like cool guys doing cool guy stuff is how I usually describe that series. And it also goes into kind of the morality of using these clones who were just bred and raised for war and war alone. And, these people who are on Coruscant who say they're for the war don't really know too much about the lives of these clones. In fact, this isn't a spoiler, but there's one scene in 000 where one of the clones takes his helmet off in front of some civilians, and they're like, "Oh, I, I thought they were all droids." So it just really portrays how these people who are for the war don't really know all of the details about it, and it's kind of a moral gray area. But yeah, that's my favorite book series in Star Wars so far. So I'm excited to dive more into canon books. I haven't read too many of those yet.
I hadn't really read too much Legends stuff
Me neither.
until this, and so I'm really enjoying like the Thrawn trilogy right now is so much fun. Pelion as a character, I hope that's how you say his name, is fantastic. I think he's become my favorite character so far out of those books. But it's really fun to just get that alternate timeline.
Yes, are you talking about the Legends Thrawn trilogy?
The Legends Thrawn trilogy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pronounced Pelion. That's how I've been saying it at least. Yeah. It is really cool to see, like you said, the alternate timeline of, the classic OT Star Wars characters, but in new adventures. So it's interesting.
It makes me hopeful that we get more canon in between the OT and the sequel trilogy. Mandalorian's done a nice job of giving us stuff that's outside of the realm that we know about things happening. But I hope we get more like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's plenty of room there to explore other stories in that time period without kind of stepping on the toes of what's come before it as far as content.
I'm interested to see if they end up canonizing things. If they're like, okay, we like this idea, we're just gonna go back and take away the decision we made.
I mean, it's always possible. We have the Ahsoka show coming soon, and that's not necessarily. It might not even be. I doubt it's going to be during the sequel trilogy. I think it's going to be before it, obviously, where they're searching for Ezra and everything. And I would think that there are a few things that from either Thrawn trilogy, from the Thrawn trilogy that they would make canon. Like certain aspects of it that they would enjoy. Maybe even possibly, certain characters, and we'll finally see what happens to Thrawn and Ezra, and just the end of Rebels for once.
Yeah, I cannot wait for the Ahsoka show. Actually, well, I mean, I can't wait for any Star Wars show, if I'm being honest.
The fact that we have to wait so long for Mandalorian is so upsetting. It is not okay.
It's terrible.
There's a bunch of stuff coming out, but still.
Yeah, I mean, we got Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Ahsoka. I'm assuming they're all kind of gonna intertwine and overlap a little bit, but the wait until then is just gonna be killing me.
When does Bad Batch come out? When is
I
that
don't
supposed to
think I don't
premiere?
think I was gonna say I don't think they made the trailer and everything, but they didn't do a release date. And personally, out of all of them, even more than the Kenobi show, I think I'm mostly just anticipating Bad Batch. Like I said, Clone Wars, I've watched it so many times, and I always felt like, yeah, obviously the entire show is about clones, but we just never got enough. I don't know why. Like, I don't know if you guys feel that too, but like sometimes I feel like I need more clones, and especially with the season 7 animation, it was so good. Like, what's it called? actual clones and like all the effects, and their faces really looked, defined and everything. And I feel like I was really sad, when they said that was like the end of Clone Wars and everything. They said they were, basically they were going to use that animation or the faces of the clones and everything. Now with Bad Batch, since it's the same animation, we're going to get the good clone, the good clone design that we got in Clone Wars. I'm really excited for that.
I think the thing that takes away from the clones in the Clone Wars show is the fact that the Jedi are like the main characters constantly. So our brain focuses in on their personality development. So we don't really notice how big some things are, especially, or just how important the clones' personalities are until much later. So then you feel like you got stripped of something for multiple seasons. Whichever season that flashback arc is, I think it's 3, where they flash back to a bunch of them when they were getting trained originally. That's one of my favorite arcs.
That's actually my favorite episode of the entire show, 100%. That's my
It's
favorite one.
fantastic.
It is. It gives the clones character, like I feel like in the movies you don't really get those characters. And I don't even blame, like, Bonkers, you talked about how like they thought that they were droids, the clones, like those civilians or whatever. I almost don't blame them, because like, in Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones, you don't get that much of the clones. Like you see them, they're fighting and everything, but you don't actually get to see what's happening behind the scenes. And Rex in season 7 actually talks about that a bit, like how he said that some of the clones have mixed feelings about the war because I'm sure some of them don't want to be slaves for the Republic, but then again, like without that war, they wouldn't actually exist. So of course that's where the mixed feelings come in, and I feel like they do a great job, and I feel like that's how they're going to set up Bad Batch. They're going to go through the morals, and like really just the clones are really going to, as depressing as it sounds, they're going to contemplate their lives. Really, why are they there? And if any of them do get their chips removed or anything, like if the Bad Batch somehow gets their chips removed or something, they're going to contemplate that, I'm sure. And I'm really excited to see what they have in store for us.
Yeah. I mean, when you take away, the sole purpose for why they were created, how do they deal with that? Which I think, like you said, we're going to see some of that in Bad Batch. At least I hope so.
I remember watching the prequel trilogy again after I watched the Clone Wars for the first time, and it completely changed how I watched 2 and 3, because I was like the clones actually mean something. Like when in episode 3 watching Palpatine give Order 66, it felt different thinking about the clones. And then having to watch season 7. So that was a train wreck, but just it gave that so much added weight to them as characters. So it's interesting to think about when the first time I watched those movies when I was really little, how they were throwaway originally. There's an entire movie titled around them, but they're still throwaway characters within the movies.
Yeah, I agree. And actually Clone Wars really, they fleshed that out. I think the show starts with Yoda and those other 3 clones, And I think that was actually their goal from the first episode and the second one. From the first episode was the one where they were on Toydaria, or they were on the moon of Toydaria. I forgot exactly. And they were going to go meet King Katunko and everything. And the clones, they each have different personalities. And Yoda talks about this with them. And they're like, no, we're one and the same, right? But then Yoda details how each one of them is different in their own way, even though they are clones, And I think that it really sets it up. And even when Plo Koon and the other, in the second episode, when Plo Koon and the Wolf Pack, they're stranded in space, they're watching their brothers die and everything, and they say like, we're meant to be expendable. Plo Koon literally says, not to me. And I think, what distinguishes Plo Koon from the other Jedi is his heart, like he really cares about the clones. And I feel like that was the goal from making Clone Wars. Like it might not be their sole goal, but it really made Order 66 a lot more powerful, thinking about how, Plo Koon literally says that he cares about them more than his own life. Like he'd put down his own life just to save clones who are quote unquote meant to be expendable. And it just really puts like another weight on Order 66. It's amazing.
Man, at some point we are going to have to do a Clone Wars dedicated episode, just if nothing else.
Oh,
so
trust
I
me,
can
we're gonna
hear
have a whole season for me. Just me talking right there.
We watch every episode and then we come back and have a conversation about it. That would be nice.
All right, we could shift gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about how we first got into Star Wars, if that's all right with y'all.
For me, Star Wars was the way I bonded with my mom when I was young. But both my parents would have been, wow, episode 4 came out in 78, 77. So my parents were like early teenagers when the episode 4, 5, and 6 came out. Um, so they grew up with them, and so my mom actually had me, and then 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after I was born, my parents went and saw episode 1 in theaters. Um, so it's always been the way I've bonded with my parents, and then I grew up loving the movies, and my parents have always been sci-fi people. So this and Star Trek and things like that, they got us into when we were kids, and Star Wars just always stuck. And then in high school, I kept rewatching the movies, and I didn't actually really watch through the Clone Wars until I think my freshman year of college, and then season 7 came out a couple years later. And now it's just here. I can't remember part of my life without Star Wars in it in some sense. So it's fun to be able to find more people outside of just my parents and a couple close friends to talk about Star Wars with.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's part of the beauty of Star Wars is even if you aren't heavy into sci-fi, you can still talk about it because it's such a cultural cornerstone in, I guess, in our modern society.
It's become so massive for so many people. It's just part of people's everyday lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's a household phrase nowadays. For me, my very first Star Wars memory, I was thinking about it the other day, is probably, and I'm going to date myself here, but on the original Muppet Babies, there was an episode that was Star Wars themed. And I remember seeing that and being like, oh, what? What is that? This is pretty cool. And then like I would see parts of A New Hope or Return of the Jedi on TV every now and then as a kid. But my first like big, oh yeah, I love Star Wars memory is I got to go see episode 1, The Phantom Menace, in theaters with my parents and brother. And I remember just sitting there in the theater like, oh my gosh, because I was pretty young still. So I was like, oh, this is like the coolest thing ever. Whoa, that guy has a double-edged lightsaber. What is this? It just blew my little mind. And ever since then, like, I've loved Star Wars. How about you, Amin?
Yeah, I think my first Star Wars memory was with my uncle. He talked about Star Wars a little bit, and what's it called? I remember, I was into Legos before, and I still am. He bought me a Star Wars Lego set, and I was like, okay, I'm not sure what this is. So, I started off with Phantom Menace with him, and honestly, I fell in love with it. I watched the other movies and everything, and I mean, like I said, I actually watched Clone Wars a bit later. I didn't actually watch it like when it aired and everything. I watched it, I think, just like maybe 4 years ago, or hold up, 5 years ago maybe. So yeah, and ever since then, honestly, just Star Wars has been a huge part of my life. I mean, if you look in my room, literally everything is themed Star Wars. It's insane.
Yep. Once it gets you, it gets you. You're sucked in.
Am I allowed to spoil Fallen Order at all? Is that a problem? Because I wanna run back to your point about the double-bladed lightsaber. Getting to do that in Fallen Order was amazing, and watching more of that, not just the little bit you get with Maul. Getting more of people fighting with those types of weapons was really fun.
Yeah, I loved the ability to craft your own lightsaber in Fallen Order. I loved the game overall. It was awesome. But specifically that, I was like, yes, this is so cool. It's like living out my dream. I'm an actual Jedi.
It's one of the first. I play a lot of that kind of games, one of those style, and it's one of the first that I've played where I really felt like the customizations you pick up, like, added to it, getting to, like, sit down and be like, "Oh, these look really cool together," and having just this little, like, everything felt tied to the story still, and then, as always, ponchos was awesome. But just getting to finally mess around with the double-bladed lightsaber was, like, childhood dream taking hold there. I was so giddy when that happened. It was, like, 3 in the morning when I got to that part, and I was, like, freaking out in my parents' basement, and just watching other dark side users use those, and just when she whips it out when you're fighting her on one of the Night Sisters on the tree, one
I
of
think it was the
the
ninth one.
yeah, the Ninth Sister. When you're fighting her on the tree and she whips it out, that was insane. Oh man, it was too much for me. My 8-year-old Star Wars brain was freaking out.
Yeah, there were several points during Fallen Order where I was just sitting there giggling to myself because it was just so fun and so cool.
I'm really hopeful that we get a second one soon. Because I just want more Star Wars video games. The more the merrier. They could put everything in and make it a video game, and I'd be fine with that. Mandalorian, actually, the Mandalorian as a video game would be fun. Putting that show and being able to follow along with the story, that would be really interesting.
Yes, if they ever make a game where you can play as a Mandalorian, I will just end up unemployed and homeless because that's all I'll be doing.
Personally, I don't play that many video games. I don't have a PC or a console, but it would be really amazing to have a game like that. Like I was thinking maybe something if they did make a game like that, it wouldn't be like Knights of the Old Republic. I feel like it would be more like Red Dead or Redemption, almost like sort of a
That would be cool.
bounty hunter type of thing while you're still a Mandalorian. It's just like I know there was a game, I'm 100% sure, called Bounty Hunter, about Jango Fett, and it's like in that game you are like a Mandalorian, like it's Jango Fett and he's a Mandalorian, and he's like taking down all these bounties and stuff and doing work for Count Dooku, and he meets like Zam Wesell. I thought that was really, really cool. And like, I mean, if they're gonna make a game, if they're gonna make a game like that, I'm hoping it might be even something like Star Wars 1313. Like, I would love a game just completely open world. You have your own ship, you have your own, basically Knights of the Old Republic, but just bounty hunting and Mandalorian Creed. I feel like that would just be so cool.
Yeah. Y'all have watched season 2 of The Mandalorian, right?
Yes.
3 times.
I think it's been
Wow.
2 for me.
Man, all right. Well,
I watched it once by myself, and then my mom and I binged it. So it's better when you can watch all the episodes back to back, in my opinion. It adds more weight.
Which episode was you guys' favorite for season 2 of Mandalorian?
I don't know which chapter it is. I think it might have been 14 where they go to Tython. That was, I felt like lore on the side, if you know what I mean, where there's an overall plot going on and we get some lore, but you have to pay more attention to be able to get those things. And so I really enjoyed that. I like in general, I think I've talked about this before, how when shows will just give us bits of lore and not make it the main focus, it's just happening on the side and you have to be paying attention to catch it. And The Mandalorian does that really well, but that episode in particular, the last 3 episodes of season 2, I think did that really well, just getting all these little bits that I have wanted about things. And it's just, that episode in general was just fun watching them do that. And then having Fennec and Boba show back up was really cool.
yeah, I was actually going to say the Tython episode is probably my favorite from this season too. Just seeing Boba in all of his Boba glory, like, oh, even without his armor, just tearing apart those troopers, man.
Personally, my favorite was the first episode from season 2, the one with the Crate Dragon and Cobb Vanth. Personally, I mean, I have played Knights of the Old Republic on my phone, and I played it, like just basically like Clone Wars more times than I can count. And I really loved watching that episode and seeing all the Knights of the Old Republic, like the nods towards Knights of the Old Republic, like Crate Dragon. I know that was part of Knights of the Old Republic. In the game, you use explosives. You have like a partner. You both use explosives to kill the Crate Dragon, and that's what they were attempting to do in the movie, but obviously, or in the show. But in the game, the Crate Dragon is very small compared to the one in the show. And also at the end, when they pull out the Crate Dragon Pearl, that just blew my mind because that was a big part of the Knights of the Republic. And in Knights of the Republic, when you want to learn, there are these Tusken Raiders. There's a Tusken camp. You can learn about their history, but they won't tell you the history unless you give them the pearl. You show your like power and all that. I thought that was really cool that the Tusken Raiders found the pearl and like they went crazy about it in the show. And also exploring Cobb Vanth, I thought he was an amazing character. He doesn't have like, he's not like an idiot side character like the one episode on Tatooine from season 1. Like that guy, I hated him just from the beginning. And I thought Cobb Vanth was just really chill, really, just really respectable guy, because he doesn't, his motive isn't just like, I want to get into the guild. It's not little things, he really loves his little town, Mos Pelgo, and really, really wants to take care of it, truly, and he's willing to give up the armor to kill the Krayt Dragon just so that he can protect his village.
He's from some book, isn't he? We've talked about, I think somebody's
I
talked about
believe
this.
he's from Aftermath, one of the
Yes.
Aftermath books. I didn't read those, but I heard about it.
Because I heard that, I think I was watching an episode review and they're like, he's from this. And I was like, this is the first time I'm learning about it. Let's go do more digging.
Yeah, I think he might be from the third Aftermath book. I've only read the first two, and that was a couple years ago. So
that sounds like the answer I got.
Yeah, he's in there somewhere. Yeah, I had actually not forgotten about the Krayt Dragon, but with everything else that happened this season, since it was at the beginning,
it felt like so long ago.
Yeah. But and then we also got Ahsoka in live action this season too, which was incredible.
It was.
They gave her the right amount of time. I think if we'd had more time with her, it would have ruined it. I think people are upset that it was too little time, but I felt like it was just the right amount to get us a nice, where's she going to go next? But this is what we know now.
Yeah, we got enough. I mean, I'm not going to say we got enough of Ahsoka, because you can't get enough of Ahsoka. She's an amazing character. But, just to make her the pinnacle of the show the show would actually lose its stride. It's about Grogu, and it's about Din Djarin bringing back Grogu to the Jedi, and making Ahsoka more of a side character instead of 100% like a main character. I thought that was perfect, and just like you said, Ahsoka didn't need more screen time in Mandalorian specifically. They did that episode, 1, to complete that little part of of Din Djarin's story, and 2, to set up the Ahsoka show, which I am so excited for.
It's nice to see her as just in that role, and it felt really true to the character they were trying to build in a way where she was very I've got my own stuff to do and I have my reasons for not wanting to deal with this. It just felt very appropriate to who she is and what you would imagine her arc would be following Clone Wars and Rebels and all of that, where you would see her going next. So it felt really satisfying to see her do that. And was it Rosario Dawson? Is that who played her?
Yes,
I had no idea.
I think she did a fantastic job. It was much better than I was expecting. I was kind of worried about how it would translate to live action, because it's not like we can do what they did with Bo-Katan and have the voice actor play the character in live action. So I was kind of worried originally, but I think she did. She stayed really true to what I see Ahsoka as.
Yeah, there's even one scene in that episode where she kind of smirks, and I watched it, and I actually had to rewind because I was like, that's Ahsoka's smirk from the Clone Wars and Rebels. Man, she's done her research. This is great.
It's going to be interesting to see where they take her next and what they decide to flesh out. It is, and it's fun to have her pop in and be this big main storyline kind of character and pop into something that is off the beaten path in a way.
Do you think we'll get Ezra at any point?
I'm 100% sure. In the Ahsoka show, 100% sure. I'm not sure. Probably not Mandalorian. Probably not. I think Mandalorian season 3 would just go off with Siege of Mandalore, and eventually Bo-Katan would take the throne, or Din. I mean, who knows? But Ezra, 100%. They have to. They can't leave us hanging like that with that Rebels ending. We deserve that.
I'm just excited to see live action Thrawn, because if we get Ezra, we're getting Thrawn. So, or at least we better. I don't want him to be part of the Ahsoka show, but only in a name that comes to pass occasionally. I don't want him to just be a conversation piece. I need him to show up.
Agreed.
When is the Ahsoka show supposed to come out? When does that premiere? Next year or this year?
2023? I don't know for sure. I know 2022 is Kenobi, but
okay.
I don't think Ahsoka's 2022. I doubt it, honestly, but it would be amazing if it was.
Where's Kenobi supposed to take place in the timeline? I can't remember. Is it right after 3? Is that the premise? Immediately?
I think I think it's between 3 and 4. I don't know exactly like how many years, but I think it's somewhere in there between episode 3 and 4. Let's talk about some books we're looking forward to the most that are coming out in the Star Wars universe. So either of you can start it off for us.
As long as it's got High Republic plastered on it, I will enjoy it. That's all I know. That or Charles Soule at the bottom, I will enjoy it. I don't think I'm super aware all the time of what's coming next. In my own reading, I'm excited to like finish Force Rising and then pick up the next book in the trilogy. And then now that I have that novelization of Revenge of the Sith, I'm excited to read that and cry. But anything High Republic related, I'm really, really excited to see where they take that. I'm excited to read Into the Dark starting next month. It's going to be hard with school now to make sure I stay on top of it, but I'm really, really excited for that. But I think so far they have done a really good job putting out reading material, so I kind of just trust that whatever comes out next will more than likely be really good, and even if it's not, I'll still read it because it's nice to get I like knowing everything, so having all that knowledge will be very nice, and getting them all on my bookshelf, whether that's my digital bookshelf or physical one, is always nice.
Amin, you want to?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't really have a specific book that I'm looking forward to of the upcoming ones. Currently, I'm reading the Bane trilogy, and I think that's enough to keep me occupied until Into the Dark. So I guess Into the Dark is the one that I'm anticipating the most.
Yeah, since I actually went this morning and picked up Into the Dark because my local Barnes and Noble had it in
Right, and
stock.
when are we discussing you sending that book to me? Just
We can discuss it after I finish reading it. How's that sound?
all right, we'll see.
That's the nice part about Kindle. I can everybody's talking about not getting books in and stuff, and I'm like, I'll read it now on Kindle, and I'll get a physical copy later when it's cheaper and more accessible.
Yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. I have Light of the Jedi and Test of Courage right here on my phone, so I was messing around.
Yeah, so I'll read Into the Dark. I'm looking forward to that because so far everything related to the High Republic has been outstanding. They've just been knocking it out of the park, from the short story in Star Wars Insider to Light of the Jedi, Light of the Jedi.
All right, guys, we'll see you later because he said that. Let's go.
And Test of Courage was also really good, even though it's more of a younger audience it's intended for. And then I'm also really looking forward to the Mandalorian novel that's supposed to be coming out sometime in the future, like later.
Is it a novelization of the series?
I think that's what I read, is that it'll be a novelization of, I'm assuming, the first 2 seasons. It might just be season 1. I'm not completely sure.
I feel like that would be a lot to get into a book, 2 seasons of all of that. Because that felt like a lot of content in 2 seasons. Watching it after I binge watched it with my mom, season 1 and 2, I was like, man, that's a lot for 16 episodes.
Yeah, it really is, especially since novels, novelizations, they usually add so much more as far as characterization, and they usually add a little bit to plot too. So yeah, maybe it is just season 1.
When I picked up that book off my porch yesterday, the Revenge of the Sith novelization, I haven't read that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look at the last few pages because I want to find out how they deal with Padme and Anakin and all of that. And that, like, I was going to start crying just reading the last 3 pages of that book. So it is really interesting to see how much you can do when you add a few more words. It is heart-wrenching. So I don't know if I want to read having Grogu taken away from Din like that. I don't know if I can do that to myself.
Yeah, just have the tissues handy nearby.
Yeah, oh my god.
I think this was a fun first episode. Kind of got to know everyone involved. Thank you all for your thoughts on everything. And the next episode is going to be our High Republic special. So everybody refresh your memories on everything High Republic so far so we can come in ready to talk about it next time.
I'm about to go take the the quiz right after this, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh, yeah. May the force be with you.
We are all the Republic.
Trust me, the quote ones, honestly, I got all of those wrong, except for maybe one of them, and then everything else, there was a lot of stuff about like Charles Soule and stuff like that, like what he was going to do after, whatever. I don't even know. I probably got all that wrong, though. Plot-wise, I think it was not that bad, so yeah, you'll be fine, I'm sure.
It's a good refresher.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up this first episode of the Reader's Comlink. Thanks to everyone listening.
Yeah, really excited for next time.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Thank you all so much for listening to the very first episode of Hyperspace Comlink. Be sure to join us for our next episode, which will take a deep dive into the newest era of Star Wars, the High Republic.